Hi, welcome back and thanks for stopping in to check this one out. As you can see, something completely different for me. It's my first team associated kit, the RC10 Classic Clear Edition. I've had it probably 8 or 9 months now and finally getting around to building it. So in this video, I'll build the chassis, install the electronics, try and show some of the things that I find difficult or easy or even different. And again, thanks for everyone that's subscribed in the past, commented, it really is appreciated. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do, leave me a like, leave me a comment and I'll get back to you. Here we are at steps 1 and 2, and for that you need bag A. I've also bought a set of MIP tools because I've only ever built Tamiya and it's all metric. So here is the contents of bag A. Here's my nice new shiny tools. I also have a tape measure with inches on to help me out so I can check the length of the bolts. I've also bought a little tap set so that I can put the threads into the plastic parts. Let's go. So here's the first part to put a thread into, and it's a 1/2 inch one, and here's the little tap and die set, so let's give it a go. And I haven't practiced this yet, so it's not that easy. So not sure how easy it would be to wind the bolts straight in without doing this. Maybe I'll just check how far that is. The start of the tool is actually tapered, so I think that should be enough. I don't want to go too far with that. So let's wind that out and take a look. It could be a waste of time, but it doesn't hurt to spend this bit of time first. So you can see a thread cut into that now. Let's just check this. And that goes in really nicely actually. Hopefully not too easily. Step 1's done. Those 4 washers are a bit thicker than I was expecting. I didn't really check, so there wasn't any need to go as deep with the tap as I did. Anyway, it doesn't matter, it's worked fine, it tightens down well, and I've thread locked the 2 7/8 of an inch bolts in. And it does actually say in the instructions, as a little side note, I'll just show you there, to not use thread lock on any of the plastics because it will damage them. So I've pre-threaded these steering components as well, and it worked pretty well. And this is with the smaller of the 2 taps that I bought. So I'll just show you one more and then that'll be it. So the instructions show doing that one and that one. So I'll just do the middle one for now. Again, it's pretty straightforward. I'm just going quite gently just to get it started. Making sure it's square in the hole. Gently wind it round. It's a little bit time consuming, but I don't mind doing it. And these just go in really easy then, if you put it in the hole square. There we go. Now I didn't buy a set of Imperial wrenches. I do, however, and I'll show this for the UK viewers. Anyone remember Homebase? Check that set out. I've had it for years. Sorry, I'll zoom out. It's finally come in handy. It's got metric and imperial on it. I've got this little bit here, and just to nip it up. Job done. Step 2 completed with the steering assembly put together. These you just have to tighten up just enough so they move freely. And there's the underneath. Enjoying this so far. Something very different. To start building the front suspension, you need bag B. Step 1. And here's the contents of that bag. You have to build the left and right hand sides, and here they are, and they are stamped left and right, which helps. These two parts are the same. I've just built mirror image of each other. They do have the little E-clips which are tricky to get in there, and I've been using one of these tools which is really good. It's the first time I've used it. It's got different sizes. You just put the little E-clip in and push it in. It doesn't fly across the garage then. Front suspension, step 2, again asks you to build left and right sides, and same as step 1, the drawing shows the left hand side, so the right hand side is a mirror image, and here they are. The parts are stamped, so as long as you take your time it's okay. Front suspension, step 3, before putting this together I've pre-threaded the front arm mounts. There are 3 large holes in each one that hold them to the chassis, and 1 smaller hole that holds them to the front shock tower. Step 4, now ready to install the front arms. The shock tower has been built and installed. That was a little bit tricky. I struggled with the E-clips, even with the little tool. Very fiddly, but they're on. Starting the transmission build, step 1. I've opened the bag C, and there are lots of small bags within that bag, so you get all this lot. So first bag I opened looking for the parts I needed are here, but you need this little drive gear pivot pin, and I couldn't find it, and it was actually in one of the other little bags. So if you're looking for that, you'll find it. With these bits are in bag C, but this bag of parts here, the pin was in there with those bits. That one there. I've installed the drive gear into the plate along with the idler gear. And there is a little washer and an E-clip you have to put on in the right order, and it does tell you there, 1 washer, 2, then the E-clip. I'll just show you so you can see. So that left hand one there, you can just see the silver washer behind the E-clip, and you have to make sure that the clip's bowed on the outside. Transmission step 3, building the out drives, you need to make 2 of them. Here's the parts. So to get those internal retaining clips in, ideally you need a set of circlip pliers, which I did buy just for this job, and here they are, and they came with a set of 3 different sets of jaws, and the smallest ones were still not small enough to fit inside those tiny little holes. So I don't know if you can see that, but I've actually had to file them down just so that they work for this job. So it's not without its challenges. Step 3 is completed. I've been using Tamiya thread lock because there isn't any supplied in the kit. Step 4 of the transmission is building the idler gears. You've got to make 2 of them. I've got a set of Plaig bearings for this. May or may not run it, but it's still nice to put them in. So there's the 2 out ready to go in place of the brass ones. I'm just getting these tiny hex head bolts in here, and it is next level fiddly. Like, here's an example. I'll just show you how small it is next to my finger. It is minute, and there are no spares, so you don't want to lose these. Okay, so it's not as bad as I first made out, because as the paint wears off the little Allen key, it goes in to the little bolt a lot easier, and once it's in, you can just do that. That's it. That's the second one done. And you have to tighten them in a crisscross pattern. Alright, so I've installed one of the idler gears, and I'm just going to do the other one, the other side. And there's a little E-clip to go each side. I can't use that little tool that I bought because it won't fit, essentially, because it's slightly rebaited in, and I really hate using pliers for stuff like this because it leaves witness marks on things. And the other side, I managed to do this with using a stick, like the back end of a cocktail stick. I'm just going to check this, I've got it the right way around. Yeah, I'll see if I can do it on camera. You can just get enough, even though it's wood. There we go. That resounding snap. And then it doesn't have any damage from metal on metal, which, although you wouldn't see it, I don't like it. Step 5, I've just laid all the parts out in order, and then I'll put that together. Again, swapping out a bushing for a bearing there. Step 6 of the transmission is the spur gear, and I've put that previous section together, which is there. There's the bearings, which I've cleaned along with those plates with some methylated spirits. Just got to grease those, and with silicone grease put that together now. Step 7's done. I got a bit carried away, couldn't really put it down because bits would just fall off, so it's just a case of putting it all together in order. There we go. For step 8, putting the transmission together, you need the motor plate, the right hand side clear case, and the gears that have just been built up. There's a little note here that tells you to cut a slot in the bearing adapter to make fitting the E-clip easier, and that's this bit right here. And I didn't do that, and then had to do it afterwards after I pushed the bearing in. This bit right here, you just got to cut that out so you can push that E-clip in. Step 9 was quite straightforward, just a couple of bits of felt and plastic seals to push in around the out drives and a small nut. Step 10, screwing the transmission together with the 4 bolts is done. I'm onto the rear bulkhead now, so opened up bag D. And here are the contents. And for those of you that haven't done a team associated car like myself, the manual is different to Tamiya, but it's still got some great features about it, and I'll just show you. So there's this open out page here, so it doesn't matter what page you've got open, you can always have this one open and it's got all the nut and bolt sizes on it. So again, for example, it tells you here you need a 4-40 by 3/4 of an inch, and it says SHCS, and that's this over here. So the SHCS screws, and there's the bolt, so you can offer it up for size. Oh, it's that one there. Same with the nuts as well, because it calls for a 440 nut, so it's pretty good. And you can see those lovely tapped threaded holes. You can also just see those 2 holes there where the longer bolts are supposed to be. Now, if I do find some in the kit spare, I'll swap those out. I did also notice 2 more, that one and that one, that need threading, and of course once this is on you can't get to it, so I've tapped those as well. Now ready to attach the transmission to the chassis. A few more holes to thread, 4 in the bottom there, and there's also 2 small ones in the top here, because there's a plate that goes on the top there. So I've kind of got those done, ready to go. So there's the transmission fully bolted in. So there's 4 long bolts in the top there, the body post, and 2 little 1/4 inch bolts in there. Onto the rear suspension now. Got baggie open, got the parts open, got them pre-threaded as well. So the holes that hold the rear arm mounts on, the forward holes, the hole in the hub carrier for the ball stud, the hole in the rear arm for the shock absorbers. And I've just been having a quick look through the instructions just to see what needs to be done. So yeah, here we go, like forward holes you see, and then there on the where the ball stud goes, and then a couple of pages back where you're installing the shocks. So 3rd hole out. Rear suspension step 2, making the hub carriers. So here are the parts. Bearings again. There's one I've already made. About to connect it on, and the rear arms are installed as well. Step 3 of the rear suspension is half done. I've installed the rear hub carriers. I'm not going to put the dog bone and the spacers and spring in just yet, because I want to make the turnbuckles that will hold that together first. So that's where I'm up to right now. Looking awesome. Step 1, building the rear camber turnbuckles up. Struggling to wind the ball cups onto the threaded rod, and I've discovered that the thread is the same size as the 4-40 one. So I'll show you how I'm doing that, and it's making life a little bit easier. Alright, so here we are. I've got the tap in my drill, and I've got it on like a really slow speed setting. It's just a basic. Put the threaded rod into the drill, just hold that gently, and then wind that in. Thumbs are going numb at this point, but no pain, no gain. Now I did try this without tapping it, and it just wouldn't go in. So it's starting to spin now. I think that's actually about 7 mil, so it's probably almost bang on. So that's about it really. The next step is I just tap the other one, but then you have to wind that one on by hand and then just tweak the gap, measure it, get it right. So yeah, hopefully that might help. The rear camber turnbuckles are made, and I've already installed one side along with a dog bone spacer, dog bone and spring. So just got this side to do. So there's a little plastic spacer goes in there. Spring. Dog bone. Done. Turnbuckles step 2, 3 and 4 are done, which are the steering rack, front camber and steering. On to bag G now, which is building the shock absorbers, starting with the pistons. There's quite a few steps to that. Comes with a little tool here to build them up to then install them into the actual piston body. Again, all new to me. I've also got a little tub of the green slime, which I think is designed to sort of stop the oil leaking out of the shock, so I'll give that a try. So I'm just building the pistons, and I just thought I'd show you this little tool. So the E-clip just sits in the little rebate there, and this side is flush. So that's the side that you put against the side that you're pushing the part on. So I'll just show you, hopefully, see how easy it is. So I've already got that loaded in. Just put it in there, push, and it's in. Step 1, the shock shafts are built, and I used the number 2 pistons as it mentions for front and rear. To be honest, I could barely see the difference between 1, 2 and 3, but I think the holes get bigger. And here are the numbered pistons. You can just see the number 1 on those and the number 3 on those. So there's a few little bits and pieces you've got to get together and assemble them in the right order. I'll just show you. So that's essentially the order there, and I've laid the parts out for each one. So there's that little plastic square bit, spacer, rubber O-ring, red one, thicker spacer, red O-ring and another spacer. Here's one I've already put together, ready to stick into the tool. As you can see, it's in that order, and I've put some of the old green slime on and a bit of the oil, shock oil that it says to use. In step 3, when you put the pistons into the shock body, you also need to put a couple of shock down stops into the rear shock only, and they're these little clear plastic parts. I've already done the fronts. Step 3 is finished, so the pistons are kind of put together. Shock cap O-ring, shock pivot ball and shock rod end done. Ready to put the oil in and the cap on. Step 4's done. Took me a little while to bleed the air out. Just followed the instructions here. One thing I would say is be careful when you're doing the lid up not to pinch that little O-ring. I've also done step 5. Springs and shock towers are on. Step 6 and 7 are done, which is installing the shock absorbers. When I was installing the lower shock pin, which is just here, goes through the bottom of the shock, there's a hole the other side where you have to wind the little set screw in. That was a bit difficult. Initially I started with the Allen key supplied, it was just way too hard. Then I realised I had the proper tool, so used that thing there, and it was so much easier to get that in. The nose brace tubes and antenna mount are installed. I've also got the parts out of Bag I for the battery cup. I've pretty much gone ahead and finished it. There was a lot of messing around making it fit, and I'll waffle on a bit now and tell you what I've done, show you. All that's left is the wheels to put on and do the body. So, here we are. I'll just show you the electronics to start with. So, I ended up getting in touch with Team Associated through their customer service almost a year ago, and I bought the kit because, like I've said before, I've only ever built Tamiya kits, didn't really know what to put in it, and they gave me heaps of recommendations, and in the end I went for a fairly basic brushless setup. It's non-censored, and I also ordered a 21 tooth pinion gear as well, and amazingly I ordered this over a weekend and it arrived here in Australia from America on the Thursday. Unbelievable. Super happy with that. I also got in touch with their customer service team about the missing screws, and they put those in the post as well. I haven't had those yet, but they'll probably turn up afterwards. So there's the speed controller. That's the SC600 BL2. It does actually come with a built-in fan, and rightly or wrongly I've removed it because the height profile of it, when it's installed, it would be like up here, and I think it would foul on the body. I did think about putting it in there, but it doesn't fit unless I chop this back, which I didn't want to do. So I thought, well, I'll try it without the fan, see how it goes. I think it looks quite cool anyway. I've got a black edition 1251 Savox, low profile, and I like the look of it because the cable on it's really short, so you don't have to hide anything. Plus they're black. I think the overall look kind of goes with it. I forgot to mention the motor. Again, it's a Reedy unit, 540 SL4, sensorless, brushless. Me being a bit stupid, didn't know how to wire it up because on the ESC it's marked ABC on the wires, but the motor there isn't any markings. Apparently that's because it's sensorless and you can just connect them up, and if the motor turns the wrong way you just reverse two of the wires, any two, and it turns the right way. So I did that and it worked. Just on the last couple of steps, wheels and tyres, before moving on to the body, which I'll do a separate video on. Here's all the parts, including the remaining few Plaig bearings to go in. So that's the chassis complete, and I hope you agree, it looks awesome. I can see what all the fuss is about with these. It really is cool. I'm glad I got the special tools to help build it, because although you get kit supplied Allen keys, I think you'd struggle, and tapping all the threads also helped. Next job will be the body. I haven't decided what colour I'm going to do it yet. I do want to keep it clear. I might do like a pearlescent clear. I did think about colours. Let me know in the comments what you think, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Cheers.